Before diving deep into the episode, I just want to say a massive thank you to you guys. So, we're all about building a space about wellness and personal growth. So we really want to bring the best conversation on Wellsome Podcast. And in order to do that, I really ask you to support our journey, hit the thumbs up, just share the episode if you really think that it can resonate with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to keep up with us. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wellsome, a podcast where wellness meets self development. I am Vicky, and in each conversation, I'm going to dive deep into real topic about health and personal growth. We actually conducted a study and a poll during the holidays within our community, and a lot of people were very interested to know more about biohacking. Biohacking is now, I would say, more than a trend. It's a movement. It's a new way of living, and it's all about not only try to understand how to prolong our life, but how to live better, like the quality of life. So I know that there are a lot of women among our community that are interested in biohacking. They want to know more, and they want to know how to implement their life in order for them to live better and to focus on their wellness. So today I invited the OG, Sabrina Brown. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much for being with us. So Sabrina is a biohacker for women. She's focused on longevity. She's a coach, and she basically helps women to just thrive in their own health, support their hormones and their overall well-being by having a specific eye on longevity. So thank you so much for being with us. I cannot wait to squeeze your brain and to ask you as many questions as possible about this wonderful topic, which is biohacking. First of all, how did you get into biohacking?
So, for me, biohacking was a necessity. It wasn't really about optimization until maybe 3 years ago
Okay.
because I thought I was doing all the right things. I was exercising 5 times a week, I was on a vegan diet for 7 years. I was doing all the right things that the wellness industry was saying.
Yeah.
I was pushing hard every single day, not really resting. I think we are so taught to really go in this
Yeah.
society. But my health was deteriorating very drastically. A couple years ago, it was around 2022 when my body fat was just decreasing very rapidly. I had a lot of skin breakouts, hormonal imbalances, really painful PMS. I was fatigued all the time. I would have to take naps during the day.
I am sure many women would relate with these symptoms. Yeah.
And I had to kind of question the diet that I was on, even though it was an identity being vegan for so long. I was in the community, really integrated,
Yeah.
and my morals were questioned, and I really had to choose myself and my health and make a very bold decision to start incorporating animal protein again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I went all in on what you want to call now biohacking, right?
Yeah.
And it really changed everything for me because I not only incorporated animal protein, I started living in according to my cycle and eating according to my cycle, training according to my cycle, socially also kind of working around my cycle so that
Yeah.
I really knew when to rest and when
Yeah.
to go hard and, give my hormones a chance to balance because at 30 years old, you should not have all these symptoms.
Absolutely, I agree with you. And thank you so much for sharing because this is very valuable because sometimes we are focused on doing the right things and just accumulating this to do that we think we have to achieve or we have to be the perfect version. Well, and actually, sometimes it's more about being more intentional rather than over exaggerating, especially for women. So, can I ask you actually, how did you decide to become vegan? Was because you did not want to actually eat animals, or because it was personal reasons? Because I know that, especially in the past, I would say, like the vegan wave started many years ago. Before, no one was talking about
Mm.
veganism. So I'm personally curious to know how you enter into the like how did you get into it?
It's a really interesting story because I feel like, again, if there was more representation for women's health and the consequences that, for example, birth control have,
Yeah.
I would not have been in the position that I was in. But it was back, it was mid 20s, early 20s, and it was a mix of having a best friend at the time who was vegan, and
Oh, interesting. Okay.
she was very passionate and inspiring, and she was sharing a lot of information with me. And I was always an animal lover, so I started seeing it from her perspective. And there was also a lot of propaganda at the time
True.
about how the planet was, dying, and global warming was happening because of all the animal farms, which is true
Yeah.
to an extent, but actually the vegan movement and all the processed foods that come along with it, this has created just as much of an impact on the environment, which a lot
Oh,
of vegans don't really understand or
that's very
know.
interesting actually, because even me personally, I didn't know.
All the
So,
soy farms and all the processed foods that we make to accommodate the vegan
yeah.
diet nowadays, it takes up just as much water, soil, grass, and land. But it was a mixture of, having that inspiration from my best friend at the time. I was eating meat every single meal all my life.
Yeah.
And during this phase where I actually started taking a hormonal birth control, an IUD, which was, I think it was called the Marina. I'm not sure, but it was.
Yeah.
I even asked the doctor, and I was like, "Are there any side effects with this hormonal IUD?" And she said, "No, basically nothing. Right?
Yeah.
It's localized. Like you'll be fine. Don't worry about it." Because I've had, the copper IUD before that, and
Yeah.
it was awful. The copper IUD I had period for 2 months, 2 weeks out of the month, and it was so painful. I
Wow.
was in so much pain, so that's why I switched to this one. And I was in a relationship at the time, and I didn't know all the side effects that this birth control would have
Yeah.
at the time. I didn't put two and two together, but I was having a lot of pain in my stomach, and I thought maybe it was because I was eating too much meat. And
Mm.
so I slowly started giving up meat. And only after 6 months, when I stopped this hormonal birth control, because I actually went into depression and I had suicidal thoughts for the first time after about 4 months on this hormonal birth control. And I was always a very positive person. I was
Yeah.
always very optimistic. And this just showed me that this was not for me.
Yeah.
But it was only maybe a couple years later that I kind of put two and two together, that I probably had maybe PCOS or something from the hormonal birth control that created these pains in
Wow.
my body, and it was not because of the meat.
Of course, of course. Well, first of all, I'm so happy and glad that you actually find the tools and also you learn yourself how to not only help women, but also help yourself first. Because sometimes, I think, especially when it comes to women, when it comes to hormones, thank God right now we start talking about it. But
Mm.
before, even for me, we didn't have
Mm.
any tools, we didn't have any education about it. So first of all, I love the fact that you just came out of this, I would say, this fog of frustration and something that was not working for you. And second, I'm so impressed that now you're also helping women to just be aware of what is front of them in terms of food, in terms of hormones, in terms of stress. How did you actually get into this? How did you get into women's health, and how
Mm.
did you first help yourself to, and then decided to get into longevity and biohacking for women?
For sure. I think for me, what was really interesting is that I was going through this healing journey myself,
Yeah,
and I thought that everyone else knew about hormones, about cycle syncing, about
Yeah.
the effects of birth control and everything. And I was quickly learning that most women had no clue,
Yeah.
and that I was just in this bubble of maybe a few people that knew. And I was starting to share online my journey, what I've gone through, certain subjects, and it started to really resonate with women. And
Yeah.
they were really telling me that they had no idea about anything and that it was really helpful for them. So I quickly decided that this is my passion, this is my purpose. If I could share this knowledge with every single woman, I would be the happiest person on earth, because this should be taught in schools to
Yeah, I agree.
teenagers.
I agree. Totally, totally. That's beautiful, actually. Beautiful mission, actually, to just, I would say, give women the right, information to just elevate their well-being. So let's talk about biohacking, the term biohacking in general,
Mm.
because it's very popular nowadays to just, talk about biohacking and say
Hmm.
I'm a biohacker. But I'm sure that a lot of people still don't know exactly what it means specifically, and what's the difference between biohacking for men and biohacking for women.
So men have a 24-hour rhythm, and women have a 28-day hormonal rhythm. So that's a huge, huge difference. And women are just so underrepresented in the health and wellness industry, in research. And we really need to stop. We need to stop. How do you say it? We need to stop acting like small men.
Yeah,
Yeah, and this is huge, because women cannot do the same things as men in terms of biohacking, because our hormonal biology is so different. We need a completely different approach.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And for example, what's the like now that comes into your what comes into your mind if I ask you, for example, now there are a lot of I would say not procedure, but there are a lot of things that you can do to just biohack, which can be sauna, can be ice bath, it can be breath working, can be a lot of things. Um, is there a specific thing or things that that's the perfect example
Mm.
of this works for men but not for women, or this works for women and not for men? Like a
Mm-hmm.
practice that comes into your mind.
I would say there's so many. Fasting is a huge one. Women cannot fast the same way as men because of our hormonal differences.
Yeah.
So, fasting for women should be done according to where you are in your cycle, whereas men can fast very comfortably every single day the same way.
Okay.
For example, sauna and ice baths. So women adapt like much better in heat versus men in the cold. So this is
Mm.
also a very big difference that we need to take advantage of and really utilize.
Yeah, you said something that it really resonates with me, but also I guess with other women. That is, we're not small men. What do you think this misconception create in our society, and what damage does it create for women on a daily basis? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think most women these days are burned out because
Yeah,
we try to compete with men in terms of productivity, hustle. And not only do women have less, like we need to take better care of our nervous system, and our stress capability is not as good as men's. So the thing is, we do need more rest, and we are not made to just hustle like men.
yeah,
Okay, we really need to take care of our nervous system, our regulate our emotions. And women have more jobs anyways. We take care of the emotions of the family, we take care of the household, of our partner, of the kids. And women are doing way more than
yeah.
they should be doing. And there's one thing to be successful and to make a lot of money, but if your health struggles because of that, then what's the point?
I completely agree. And sometimes I debated so much about this. And if you're into wellness, I think you reached a level that you're aware that it doesn't make sense to hustle this like at the cost of your health, or at least maybe you've gone through this, you learn, and then maybe you start educating people or become a coach and everything. But there are a lot of people, there are a lot of women that still has to grow in this sense and still has to understand that, yeah, yet we're not small men. And you cannot imagine how many times I had a very, very, I don't want to say argument, but like debates on, no, we're like if this costs, like if this amount of money will cost my mental health, or even become lonely sometimes, because mental health can also be like a consequence of loneliness
For
or
sure.
frustration. It's too expensive, you know. If this costs my health, it's too expensive, you know.
And I think it hurts in relationships too, right? Because this hyper feminism movement has created very feminine men and very masculine women. And we are just like the balance, the scales have like gone such a different way
Yeah,
that now like relationships are suffering and women are trying to compete with men, where actually we're supposed to complement each other in different ways and
yeah,
have this polarity because we both bring so much amazing qualities, right?
yeah.
And it's, you know, it's just a shame to see what has been happening
Yeah,
in the
I noticed
world.
the same. I noticed the same, especially where do you think it's coming from? Do you think it's coming from the era of social media? Do you think it's coming from, where do you think it's coming from? I
Well,
ask
you
myself this question many times, actually.
absolutely. I think it's just, you know, women didn't have many rights even 30 years ago.
Yeah,
And I think now it's just gone completely the opposite way because it's I think it's almost like from one extreme to the other,
yeah,
you know? And it's gonna the scales are gonna come back to a balance, but first it has to go the other way.
yeah,
And you know, I used to be very, very masculine and very hustle
really,
culture when I was living in London.
yeah,
And it was really detrimental for my relationships, for my own femininity suffered. And I really felt like when I moved to Bali and really sat with my feminine energy and stopped hustling and had more of a balance, I really became the woman that I wanted to be.
yeah, yeah. Sabrina, do you think that there's like a lot of women are burnout right now? Like they declare that they are burnout for many different reasons. Maybe because they're running businesses, maybe because they're running businesses and they're taking care of the family as well. What's, for example, let's say I'm a woman among our listener, and I feel that I'm burnout. And what's the number one direction that you would suggest them like to do in order to just step back from from the burnout? I'm sure you had so many clients with this
Yeah,
case.
absolutely. I feel the most important thing for women is to feel safe.
Yeah,
We need to give our bodies the message that they are safe, and that's when healing can happen. So you can do all the different biohacks, gadgets, but if your body doesn't feel safe, your nervous system doesn't feel safe, you won't be able to heal.
yeah,
So nervous system regulation is the number one thing that you can work on if you are burnt out. Really just taking things slower, taking
yeah,
everything in your life slower, doing exercises like legs up the wall at night or during the day. Maybe you do non sleep deep rest during the day. You just have to take things slower.
yeah.
And if possible, really just take a rest, like give yourself a break.
Yeah, give yourself permission as well to take a break, because I assume that when we're burnout, like probably the burnout affects women differently compared to men. Correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Women are just more likely to experience burnout because our stress resilience isn't as high as men's. And again, like women thrive on feeling safe in their body.
yeah,
And when that's not the case, that's when cortisol is spiking, you have chronic stress, inflammation, you know, your body and all the messengers down regulate reproductive organs so that it's in survival mode.
yeah,
You're just stuck in survival mode, and to get out of that you have to give your body permission to feel
Absolutely,
safe.
absolutely. Before diving deep into another specific question about, biohacking, you mentioned that you went to Bali, right, after
Yes,
London, and I can assume that maybe you were working a lot in London. Actually, London is a very
I
it's
was burnt out.
yeah, you were burnout,
Hmm.
yeah. And what happened when you went to Bali? How did you heal this part of you? How did you transform it? Because I know that London and actually big cities like, oh, even Dubai sometimes can put you in a situation where you actually feel guilty if you're not hustling.
Mm.
So as a girl who experienced that, how did you change your perspective and came back from maybe just integrate your feminine and your masculine together?
Well, I would say for one, I think London and Dubai have a quite masculine energy
True.
anyway, and Bali has an extremely feminine energy.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you arrive and your nervous system is already at ease.
Yeah.
But I think because I was there in the pandemic, it was kind of easier for me to just switch off and allow myself to rest because there was not really any
Yeah.
other option. But I found that I was living in hyper speed when I was living in London. So everything had to be done really fast, productivity. How can I do the most amount of things in one day? Versus in Bali, I felt like because everyone else was so slow as well,
Yeah.
I was able to slow down my day and everything that I was doing.
Yeah.
And it really told my body as well, like, okay, you can slow down. Women thrive when we do take things slower, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, yeah. In my to-do list in 2026, I really want to try to be more patient
Mm,
because sometimes I do feel that I'm in high speed with myself and I just pretend that the world is actually in high speed, where like I was just questioning actually during New Year's I wrote down my resolutions and I'm like, no, I have to learn also to slow down because slowing
mm.
down doesn't mean that it's bad or unproductive. Sometimes more you slow down, more productive you become.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Creativity like increases,
yeah,
dolce far niente, right?
exactly. I should learn from my culture.
Yeah.
And Sabrina, I'm sure that actually we're talking about burnout, we're talking about biohacking in general, and how
Hmm.
you got into this topic, and I'm sure that also hormones play a big role when it comes to regulation.
Yeah, I
Please
mean,
guide me through.
so hormones are the CEOs of your body. They're messengers that speak to every single organ, every single function.
Yeah,
So when someone says, like, take care of your hormones as if your life depended on it, do that. It's the fountain of youth. Once your
yeah,
hormones, if once you go into perimenopause, that's when your aging like increases times 100. And trust me, a lot of women nowadays are going into perimenopause early because they're not taking care of their hormones. They're living like men in this society that just glorifies hustle and being busy all the time, and
yeah.
it's aging us faster and faster. And that's why biohacking is so a non-negotiable in 2026, because otherwise what are you going to do? You're just
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, so passionate about it.
Yeah, and you should be very vocal about it. And what's the number one symptom that a woman can actually spot when the hormones are dysregulated?
Oh my God, there's so many. But I think, stress is a huge one, right? Cortisol is a stress hormone. And if you have that high constantly, it's fight or flight mode.
Yeah,
Everything else down regulates, and you're just stuck in this, yeah,
loop, I
survival
would say.
mode,
Yeah,
right?
survival mode.
Fatigue, low libido,
Yeah,
hormonal breakouts, hair thinning, bloated, when you're feeling bloated. There's so many. It depends on like which hormones
yeah,
are unbalanced. I always think a Dutch test is a great place to start,
yeah,
which you want to take at certain times of your cycle. And this gives you a really good picture of where your hormones are.
Yeah. You said before that now you're cycle syncing when it comes to workout and when it comes to just live your life based on your period. Can you please tell me more about it so we can share with the community?
Absolutely. I'm obsessed with cycle syncing. It's changed my life. And it basically, so you have the four phases, right? You have menstruation, follicular phase, ovulation, and luteal phase.
Yeah.
So what I did is I really tried to figure out which nutrients you need during each phase of your cycle so that you can feed your hormones and really nourish them. And a
Yeah.
lot of women are undernourished and they don't consume enough protein,
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. Actually,
which is a big thing.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's really
It's a big
important
thing.
because also as women, we are so easily prone to lose muscle mass. After the age of 30, we start losing muscle mass fast. Even if we are working out and
Yeah.
eating protein, it's something that's really, really important, and it's a huge marker of longevity
Yeah.
because you need to have muscle to hold your skeleton up and to be independent later in
Of
life.
course.
Yeah. So, you want to really take it slower the second part of your cycle in your luteal phase, which is the last 2 weeks of your cycle. You want to start slowing down here, eating more complex carbs, having slower workouts, still work out, still strength train because it's super important. But when you strength train, you can use lower weights, lower reps,
Yeah.
and just listen to your body. I think women have stopped listening to their body, stopped listening to their intuition. Your body has all the answers.
Yeah. And yeah, and actually it will eventually tell you like this is too much, this is too less, I need rest, but somehow we're not listening.
Your symptoms are your body trying to speak with you.
Yeah.
And it becomes louder and louder if you don't listen.
Yeah.
And that's when disease starts showing up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because it's like an alarm that no one pays attention to. Absolutely, absolutely. And like Sabrina, for example, like if I'm a woman and I feel so stressed or dysregulated and I feel that I really want to start to take care of my health properly, which is actually a very perfect question now that we're at the beginning of 2026. And let's say that I want to come to you because I need coaching and support. For example, I know that there are many cases and everyone is different and by individual. But for example, what are the main pillars that normally you recommend to your clients?
Absolutely. So I have a signature course that I created for my
Yeah,
healing journey called Timeless Woman. And I have a lot of different modules in there, but the main one is mindset. The first thing we start is mindset because
interesting.
you can do all the right things. You can take all the supplements, all the gadgets, all the biohacks. But if your mindset is not in a good place, if you don't have a growth mindset, an optimistic mindset, if you don't have positive thoughts and think of yourself as someone who can heal, who can get better, nothing is going to work.
Yeah,
So that's why we have to start there, mindset, and then we go into nervous system regulation techniques. We go into sleep, which is actually the biggest one. It's free, and most people are not taking sleep seriously.
amen. Yeah, so true. So true. Yeah. And it's also difficult to sleep when you have so many things up in your mind and you have so many thoughts. So, absolutely. Do you think that discipline plays a big role when it comes to biohacking, or do you think that it's a bit limited? What do you think about it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, right?
Absolutely. I think, but it goes hand in hand with your mindset, right? If you identify yourself as a biohacker, as a person who takes care of themselves, because you have to choose your hard.
Yeah.
Your hard can be either getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, living according to your cycle, working out, moving every day, or your hard can be going to the doctor, getting surgery, being on medication, having chronic inflammation, dealing with these stressful situations in a negative way. So
Yeah.
it's really up to you to choose which hard path you want to go into.
Yeah, absolutely. And last question, after sharing with everyone how people can find you and what are your services and your workshop eventually and everything that you're doing for women, I wanted to ask you the last question about working out. So like strength training is super important. I'm a big fan. I'm a gym rat myself, and I see the differences. I see the benefits. But sometimes, again, we enter in this loop of overdoing, even when we're at the gym. And as a biohacker, focus on women. Where is the balance?
I would say try to strength train 3 times a week,
Yeah,
max 4 times a week. Try and take when you have a rest day, you need rest days for your body to recover, for your muscles to recover. If you can go into a sauna, that's incredible. There has been so
after.
many, yeah, after you train, so many incredible benefits from using the sauna. And when you have a rest day, try to incorporate stretching and walking your 10,000 steps.
Yeah.
But women, again, we need rest. And if you want to grow your muscles, they need to rest as
Yeah,
well. They need to recover.
absolutely, absolutely. And would you recommend sauna daily or would you recommend sauna a few times a
Yeah, I
week?
mean, no one's gonna go daily, right? No one has the
Yeah,
time.
no.
But I had a phase where I would go almost every single day, and it was incredible. I mean,
Really?
I love it. There's no such thing. I would say, okay, saunas, you have to be mindful that you shower before you go in, but dry yourself. You always need to shower off. People, I see so many people using the sauna wrong. You need to shower before and after the sauna because otherwise you're just having all the toxins that are coming out are going to get
That's a very good thing
absorbed
to say.
in
Yeah.
your body. Okay, and please put a towel down. I see
Yeah.
so many people who don't use a towel.
Hygiene, please, first. Yeah.
And hydrate before and after, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you are just dehydrating your body and
Yeah.
causing even more
Yeah.
stress to your body. And don't go in for too long. Like,
Yeah.
get out the first sweat, 8 to 10 minutes, and then take a little breather, go back in. You don't need to overdo it. Just
Absolutely.
you'll feel good and you'll have the best sleep
Yeah.
afterwards.
I love that. Sabrina, I would continue till, hours and hours because I feel there's so many
Same.
things to do, but I'm sure there's room for a second episode. I really hope so. Thank you so, so much for being with us. And can you please share with our community where people can find you and how do you normally work with women?
Absolutely. So I'm the Positive Lady on Instagram. You
Love
can
the name.
find me there. I share reels every day, hacks, knowledge, and you can also join my course, Timeless Woman, which is a self-paced course that you can find on my Instagram as well. I also have a digital product, which is the Glow from Within ebook, which is how I healed my hormones naturally through nutrition. And of course, I also offer one-to-one coaching. So just message me if you're interested, and then we can have a chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
for having
much.
me. I had
Of
so much
course, me
fun.
too. Me too. And guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much.